Hey everybody, hello and welcome. In today's video, I'm finally doing it. I'm finally checking out Taylor Swift's Folklore, the studio album. So this is kind of embarrassing, but I only recently found out that there was a studio version of this album. For the longest time, I thought it was a Long Pond Sessions. That's all we got. And honestly, I was happy with it. Yeah, the Long Pond Sessions to date, out of everything I've heard, out of every album I've reacted to, is my absolute favorite. Depending upon my mood and general headspace, every once in a while, a different album kind of takes over #1 for me. I'm looking at you, Red. But yeah, overall, I would say Folklore is my favorite album. This is the album that sealed the deal for me. This is the one that made me want to start taking Taylor Swift serious. So before we begin, for whatever reason, there's been a lot of new interest in my Taylor Swift reactions. A lot more people have been watching the videos, joining the Patreon, so on and so forth. First off, thank you. I appreciate all the love, support, and kind words. It's truly made this journey very impactful to me, and I just really, truly appreciate all of you. But also that means a good chunk of you guys don't actually know what the hell I'm doing here. Quick recap for those of you that might be new around here. I have been diving into Taylor Swift's discography in chronological order for the better part of a year now. All the live performances, album reactions, all of the Taylor's versions, all of the interviews, it's all here right now. If there's something specifically you're looking for that you can't find, hey, feel free to reach out, man. I try to get back to people in a timely fashion, and I'll get you whatever link you're looking for. So since I've already reacted to the Long Pond Sessions, and we've gone into detail talking about the storytelling aspects and the acoustic aspects of those sessions, today's reaction is going to be more focused on production, the differences and similarities between two different versions. Interesting crunch.
I'm doing good, I'm on some new shit. Been saying yes instead of no. I thought I saw you at the bus stop, I didn't though. I hit the ground running each night. I hit the Sunday matinee. You know the greatest films of all time were never made. You never know, never know.
It's warmer.
If you wanted me, you really should have showed. And if you never bleed, you're never gonna grow. And it's all right now, but we were something, don't you think so? Roaring 20s, tossing pennies in the pool. And if my wishes came true, it would have been you. In my defense, I have none for never leaving well enough alone. But it would have been fun if you would have been the one.
More of a choir effect, okay.
I have this dream you're doing cool shit, having adventures on your own. You meet some woman on the internet and take her home. We never painted by the numbers, baby, but we were making it count. You know the greatest loves of all time are over now. I guess you never know, never know. And it's another day waking up alone. But we were something, don't you think so? Roaring 20s, tossing pennies in the pool. And if my wishes came true, it would have been you. In my defense, I have none for never leaving well enough alone. But it would have been fun if you would have been the one. I persist and resist the temptation to ask you if one thing had been different. Would everything be different today? We were something, don't you think so? Rose flowing with your chosen family. And it would have been sweet if it could have been me. In my defense, I have none for digging up the grave another time. But it would have been fun if you would have been the one.
So I'm not going to spend too much time in this video talking about song theories and possible meanings of each songs. I'm just going to quickly recap things and then just share my first impressions. And the one definitely leans into nostalgia and it reflects on the possibilities of how things could have turned out differently if they had just taken a different path. Okay, so first off, I'm glad that the general charm of the one is still there. It's still completely readable. The differences between the Long Pond sessions and the studio version are subtle, but there's definitely some differences. So in this version, I feel like the general tone of everything is pretty much warmer. The piano is a bit muted down. The beat is similar to the Long Pond sessions, but there's obviously an 808 aspect to it that just kind of adds a bit of a crack noise, what makes things sound a little bit more electronic. There's also a subtle underscore of cinematics, which is cool, especially noticeable in the outro. And I like how vocally there's not too much of a difference between the studio and the Folklore version. There's a bit more layering on the studio version. There's also a touch of a choir in that little bridge part, which kind of adds to the atmosphere, but nothing really cuts you out of the immersion of what the song is. It still keeps that general same charm and same feeling the entire way through. But here's the thing, even with all the studio magic, with all their edges rounded out and the slight cinematics and the touch of electronics, you know, it adds to a dreamier atmosphere, but there's something more dramatic about the Long Pond sessions. But I appreciate the minimal production on all of this. But if I have to choose, I'm probably gonna go with the Long Pond sessions for my favorite. I just feel like that natural, sharp acoustic guitar mixed together with Taylor's raw, vulnerable voice, I feel like just adds to a more dramatic experience.
Vintage tea, brand new phone.
That's fun.
High heels on, cobblestones. When you are young, they assume you know nothing.
It's a teardrop rhythm.
Sequin smile, black lipstick, sensual politics. When you are young, they assume you know nothing. But I knew you dancing in your Levi's, drunk under a street light. I knew you, hand under my sweatshirt, baby kiss it better right. And when I felt like I was an old cardigan under someone's bed, you put me on and said I was your favorite. A friend to all is a friend to none. Chase two girls, lose the one. When you are young, they assume you know nothing.
Here we go.
But I knew you, playing hide and seek and giving me your weekends. I knew you, your heartbeat on the high line, once in 20 lifetimes. And when I felt like I was an old cardigan under someone's bed, you put me on and said I was your favorite.
So subtle. The piccolo.
To kiss in cars and downtown bars was all we needed. You drew stars around my scars, but now I'm bleeding. 'Cause I knew you, stepping on the last train, marked me like a bloodstain. I knew you, tried to change the ending, Peter losing Wendy. I knew you, leaving like a father, running like water. And when you are young, they assume you know nothing. But I knew you'd linger like a tattoo kiss. I knew you'd haunt all over my what ifs. The smell your favorite.
Okay, so as we know, Cardigan is one of the first details of the love story that is told throughout the entirety of this album, and it's all used through metaphors and comforting objects such as a cardigan. At least for me, from my perspective, I find the whole thing sweet. It's kind of invoking a sense of warmth and security. There's touches of nostalgia and longing. The whole thing is very sweet. Okay, on the studio version of Cardigan, there's some very clear differences from the Long Pond sessions. In my opinion, the Long Pond sessions is definitely a more haunting performance. Even the weight of the piano feels heavier, and Taylor's voice is just cleaner and sharper. Whereas in this version, again, the piano is a bit more muted. We have some cinematics from a string section. Taylor's voice is also layered to highlight certain dramatic points in the song. And all of that almost glitchy production does add to a more dreamy soundscape, but I feel like it doesn't offer the same raw intensity that the Long Pond sessions offers. Inherently, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. All of the edges have been smoothed out. There's no more sharps. There's a lot more glitching and cinematics happening. There's touches of layering, and the whole thing paints a much more atmospheric picture. And in fact, I could see how almost a larger group of people may prefer this version. But for me, it just doesn't carry the same emotional impact that the Long Pond session has. But both versions are great.
Rebecca rode up on the afternoon train. It was sunny. Her salt box house on the coast took her mind off St. Louis. Bill was the heir to the Standard Oil name and money, and the town said, how did a middle-class divorcee do it? The wedding was charming, if a little gauche. There's only so far new money goes. They picked out a home and called it Holiday House. Their parties were tasteful, if a little loud. The doctor had told him to settle down. It must have been her fault his heart gave out. And they said, there goes the last great American dynasty.
Okay.
Who knows if she never showed up, what could have been? There goes the maddest woman this town has ever seen. She had a marvelous time ruining everything. Rebecca gave up on the Rhode Island set forever. Flew in all her bitch pack friends from the city. The pool with champagne and swam with the big names and blew through the money on the boys and the ballet, and losing on card game bets with Dolly. And they said, there goes the last great American dynasty. Who knows if she never showed up, what could have been? There goes the most shameless woman this town has ever seen. She had a marvelous time ruining everything. They say she was seen on occasion pacing the rocks, staring out at the midnight sea. And in a feud with her neighbor, she stole his dog and dyed a key lime green. 50 years is a long time. Holiday house side, quietly on that beach, free of women with madness, the men in bad habits, and then it was bought by me. Who knows if I never showed up, what could have been? There goes the loudest woman this town has ever seen. I had a marvelous time ruining everything. I had a marvelous time ruining everything. A marvelous time ruining everything. A marvelous time.
Okay, so as we know, this story is talking about Rebecca Harkness, I think is how you say her name. It's the previous owner of Taylor's Rhode Island house, and it's detailing her life and her struggles, and lyrically this paints a very vivid picture, and honestly, I think the lyrics are brilliant on this. She really brings her story to life, talking about playing cards with the Dalai Lama, people accusing her of killing her own husband, and I can see how a character like Rebecca would be important to Taylor because, in my opinion, she is kind of the modern day Rebecca. I mean, the headlines are writing about her, accusing her of things, thinking that she's this wild, crazy, mad woman, when in reality, that's just not the case. She's just kind of living her life and doing her own thing. But it's kind of wild, the similarities between both these characters. And now Taylor owning that house is just, it's kind of wild to me. I like that that's a thing that happened. Honestly, I think both versions do a great job of keeping Taylor's voice and the storytelling aspect of this song front and center. So the Long Pond sessions offer this real, raw simplicity that's very easy to digest, but I think I might actually prefer the studio version. I feel like the studio version still invokes like that folk foundation, but just offers a slightly different angle to the whole thing. A touch of pop here, some cinematics in the underscore, and yeah, I don't know, I think it's a more pleasing listening experience.
I can see you standing, honey, with his arms around your body, laughing but the joke's not funny at all. And it took you 5 whole minutes to pack us up and leave me with it, holding all this love out here in the hall. I think I've seen this film before, and I didn't like the ending. You're not my homeland anymore.
So subtle.
So what am I defending now? You were my town, now I'm in exile seeing you out. I think I've seen this film before.
I can see you staring, honey, like he's just your understudy, like you'd get your knuckles bloody for me. Second, third, and 100th chances, balancing on breaking branches. Those eyes add insult to injury. I think I've seen this film before, and I didn't like the ending. I'm not your problem anymore. So who am I offending now? You were my crown, now I'm in exile seeing you out. I think I've seen this film before, so I'm leaving out the side door.
So step right out. There is no amount of cry I can do for all this time. We always walked a very thin line. You didn't even hear me out.
Didn't even hear me
You never
out.
gave a warning
I
sign.
gave so many
All this
signs.
time, I never learned to read your
Never
mind.
learned to read my
I couldn't
mind.
turn things
Never
around,
turned things
'cause you
around.
never gave a warning
I
sign.
gave so many signs.
So many signs, so many signs.
Didn't even see the signs.
I think I've seen this film before, and I didn't like the ending. You're not my homeland anymore. So what am I defending now? You were my town, now I'm in exile seeing you out.
I think I've seen this film before, so I'm leaving out the side door.
So step right out. There is no amount of crying I can do for all this time. We always
Okay, I'm gonna let you all in on a secret, something I've been doing for a little while here, and that is when I get asked by people, why am I spending so much time with Taylor Swift? You have a list of other artists you need to get to that are piling up by the day. Why are you going into detail with these specific reactions? And I get that question from a variety of people. People either send me messages online or even some of my friends in real life. And what I've come to find out is these people think that Taylor Swift is some kind of manufactured thing. They think that there's no substance to her music. So when I get that question, I don't normally respond. I literally just send them a link to the video of this performance. The responses I get online are fantastic, but what does it for me is when I can show people that video and I can see their face in real time, just kind of changing and how it kind of impacts people. It's a beautiful thing to witness. Okay, so both the studio version and the Long Pond sessions offer highly dramatic vocal performances. I love the raw clarity of the Long Pond sessions, but that touch of strings in the studio version is awesome. You can tell in the studio version there's some slight layering and those vocals been rounded out. Things just aren't quite as sharp, but that's when those subtle cinematics kind of creep in and you have those low bass notes and everything that just kind of adds to the dramatics. All right, so it's difficult for me to pick which version I prefer. I think by a very small margin, I prefer the Long Pond studio sessions. I just like that sharpness. I like the raw vocals. And then the video is also awesome too. Going back and forth and kind of like seeing the different perspectives and the videos cutting, I feel like kind of adds to the overall performance.
We gather here, we line up, weeping in a sunlit room. And if I'm on fire, you'll be made of ashes too. Even on my worst day, did I deserve, babe, all the hell you gave me? 'Cause I loved you, I swear I loved you, till my dying day. I didn't have it in myself to go with grace, and you're the hero flying around saving face. And if I'm dead to you, why are you at the wake, cursing my name, wishing I stayed? Look at how my tears ricochet. We gather stones, never knowing what they'll mean. Some to throw, some to make a diamond ring. You know I didn't want to have to haunt you, but what a ghostly scene. You wear the same jewels that I gave you as you bury me. I didn't have it in myself to go with grace, 'cause when I'd fight, you used to tell me I was brave. And if I'm dead to you, why are you at the wake, cursing my name, wishing I stayed? Look at how my tears ricochet. And I can go anywhere I want, anywhere I want, just not home. And you can leave on my heart, go for blood, but you would still miss me in your bones. And I still talk to you, and I'm screaming at the sky. And when you can't sleep at night, you hear my stolen I didn't have it in myself to go with grace, and so the battleships will sink beneath the waves. You had to kill me, but it killed you just the same. Cursing my name, wishing I stayed. You turned into your
I mean, both versions are kind of heavy on their own. They just offer different dynamics. I mean, it's an eerie look at cause and effect, and it hints at betrayal. So much of this album is surrounded by fictional stories and this intertwining love story, but this one feels personal. This feels like a personal struggle. It feels heavy. So in this studio version, there's a ton of different layering going on. There's vocal layering, there's cinematic layering, there's electronic layering, there's some interesting beat mapping, and I feel like it's all adding to a much more haunting atmosphere. However, on the Long Pond sessions, it's so delicate, it's almost frail. It's like she's just putting it all out there. It just feels like her voice is adding everything front and center, and it's just giving me more emotional impact to the overall theme of the song. It's just something about like the natural stillness of the Long Pond sessions. But I gotta reiterate here, I appreciate that we have two different versions, a much more polished version like this where all the vocals are rounded out and the atmosphere is bright and center. And I appreciate that we have that very raw, intimate performance as well. It's nice just to have two different variations. So much shimmer.
I'll show you every version of yourself tonight. I'll get you out on the floor, shimmering beautiful. And when I break it's in a million pieces. Hush, when no one is around, my dear. You'll find me on my tallest tiptoes, spinning in my highest heels, love, shining just for you. Hush, I know they said the end is near, but I'm still on my tallest tiptoes, spinning in my highest heels, love, shining just for you. I want you to know I'm a mirror ball. I can change everything about me to fit in you. I'm not like the regulars, the masquerade revelers, drunk as they watch my shattered edges glisten. Hush, when no one is around, my dear. You'll find me on my tallest tiptoes, spinning in my highest heels, love, shining just for you. Hush, I know they said the end is near, but I'm still on my tallest tiptoes, spinning in my highest heels,
Solid
love,
organ.
shining just for you. And they called off the circus from the disco down, when they sent home the horses and the rodeo clowns. I'm still on that tightrope, I'm still trying everything to get you laughing at me. I'm still a believer, but I don't know why. I've never been a natural, all I do is try. I'm still on that trapeze, I'm still trying everything to keep you looking at me. Because I'm a mirror boy, I'm a mirror boy, and I'll show you every version of yourself tonight.
All right, so lyrically, I believe at least, this song is a bit more autobiographical. In my last video, I talked a bit about My Tears Ricochet and Mirror Ball and the themes of reflection between the two of them, so I'm not going to dive too much into that. But at its core, it's really just reflecting on the pressures of constantly needing to adapt and to please others, and then things that were happening at this time. Obviously, COVID was kind of a thing, and due to COVID, we lost what was going to be Loverfest, and also just the isolation of it all and being like this shining star in a dark room. So the studio version of Mirror Ball is actually quite the contrast from the Long Pond sessions. It's very shimmery. The fluttering organ and the vocal layering, I feel like adds out some of the sharp edges that we had in the Long Pond sessions. Also, this version has a lot more atmosphere and generally just feels a lot warmer. And even though the lyrics are exactly the same, the message is exactly the same, I feel like the acoustic version just offers us a touch more raw vulnerability. It's a little bit more frail, and the entire performance, being as stripped down as it is, feels a bit more intimate. And in the acoustic version, I'm a big fan of how Jack tackled the organ. His spacey guitar lead is just awesome.
Please picture me in the trees. I hit my peak at 7 feet in the swing over the creek. I was too scared to jump in, but I was high in the sky with Pennsylvania under me. Are there still beautiful things? Sweet tea in the summer, cross your heart, won't tell no other. And though I can't recall your face, I still got love for you. Your braids like a pattern, love you to the moon and to Saturn. Passed down like folk songs, the love lasts so long.
So cinematic.
And I've been meaning to tell you, I think your house is haunted. Your dad is always mad, and that must be why. And I think you should come live with me, and we can be pirates. Then you won't have to cry. We'll hide in the closet, and just like a folk song, our love will be passed on. Please picture me in the weeds before I learn civility. I used to scream ferociously anytime I wanted. Sweet tea in the summer, cross my heart, won't tell no other. And though I can't recall your face, I still got love for you. Pack your dolls in a sweater, we'll move to India forever. Pass down like folk songs, our love lasts so long.
I love how Seven captures some natural purity. I mean, there's a certain sense of innocence to all of this. You know, it really invokes that like natural sense of childlike wonder and imagination. It's just kids that haven't been beaten down by how complicated life can be, and it's beautiful. I've said this before, so I'm not going to go into detail as to why I think this, but this song feels like a eulogy to me. So in my opinion, the studio version of Seven is slightly more whimsical. It's still delicate, it's soft, it feels sweet. There's more vocal layering. Again, everything's been rounded out. There's none of those sharps that we get from the Long Pond sessions. And overall, it feels warm. I feel like that's kind of a theme of the entire album so far. The Long Pond sessions is slightly more delicate, and I feel like that underlines the natural innocence of this track. Now, all that aside, I think I still prefer the studio version of this song. The piano is a bit more muted. It's also subtly more playful. The subtle touch of strings really just mirrors the themes of this song.
Salt air and the rust on your door. I never needed anything more, or whispers of "Are you sure?" Never have I ever before, but I can see us lost in the memory. August slipped away into a moment in time, 'cause it was never mine. And I can see us twisted in bedsheets. August slipped away like a bottle of wine, 'cause you were never mine. You're back beneath the sun, wishing I could write my name on it. Will you call when you're back at school? I remember thinking I had you, but I can see us lost in the memory. August slipped away into a moment in time, 'cause it was never mine. And I can see us twisted in bedsheets. August slipped away like a bottle of wine, 'cause you were never mine.
That's nice.
Back when we were still changing for the better, wanting was enough. For me it was enough to live for the hope of it all. Cancel plans just in case you call and say meet me behind the mall. So much for summer love and saying us, 'cause you
Love the horns.
You weren't mine to lose, no. But I can see us lost in the memory. August slipped away into a moment in time, 'cause it was never mine. And I can see us twisted in bedsheets. August slipped away like a bottle of wine, 'cause you were never mine. 'Cause you were never mine, never mine. But do you remember when I pulled up and said get in the car, and then canceled my plans just in case you called? Back when I was living for the hope of it all, for the hope of it all. Meet me behind the mall. Remember when I pulled up and said get in the car, and then canceled my plans just in case you called? Back when I was living for the hope of it all, for the hope of it all, for the hope of it all.
So lyrically, as we know, this is one of the songs that are tying into the love triangle. I like how it's told from the perspective of somebody that knows it's not going to last. It was never meant to last. It's definitely bittersweet, but I feel like overall it leans more into the sweet side. The studio version is much more upbeat with some lush production, some great vocal layering, and I feel like all that atmosphere adds to the dramatics of the song. So this is another one where I actually prefer the studio version over the Long Pond sessions. I'm kind of surprised by this one. I feel like it's a lot more playful and the cinematics are more prevalent. I feel like it all enhances the actual storytelling. But my favorite part was actually the horn section, because I remember that one interview where Taylor said, horns in a song, I can't use that. That's like above what I'm doing. And now she's like truly using it in a dramatic sense that's enhancing her vision. So not only does it sound good, but I'm kind of proud. Okay, so I think I'm gonna break this album reaction up into 2 parts just because it's getting kind of late and it's kind of a long album. And as much as I enjoy listening to it, I don't want to get tired halfway through and gloss over things that I would have otherwise talked about. So in the next couple days, I'll have part 2 up for everybody. But this was a lot of fun. I was surprised that I found a couple tracks on this that I preferred over the Long Pond sessions. So I'm excited to see where things go next from here. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out for a little bit today, and I'll be back real soon with part 2. Bye, everybody.